Welcome to the Red Story, and just subscribe so I understand that everything is not in vain. Make some tea or coffee and listen to our new story and subscribe. My dad divorced, my mom for a younger secretary, and my stepmom tries to throw me out of my house. I think my dad forgot that the house is still under my mom's name. I'm a 17-year-old guy and my life has been turned upside down in the past year. It all started when my dad, who's 45, left my mom, 43, for his 28-year-old secretary. I never saw it coming. My parents always seemed happy together, or at least I thought they were. Growing up, we were a typical middle-class family. Dad worked as a manager at a local manufacturing plant, and Mom was a part-time librarian. We lived in a nice house in the suburbs, went on yearly vacations, and generally had a good life. I was an only child, so I got a lot of attention from both my parents. Dad was always the stricter parent, pushing me to excel in school and sports. He had this idea that I needed to be tough to succeed in life. Mom, on the other hand, was more laid back. She encouraged my creative side and always told me to follow my passions. Things started to change about 2 years ago when Dad got a promotion. He began working longer hours and seemed more stressed. That's when he hired Isabel as his personal secretary. At first, I didn't think much of it. Isabel would sometimes come to our house for work-related stuff, and she always seemed nice enough. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs. Dad started working late more often. He missed my school events, saying he was swamped at work. Mom tried to hide it, but I could see she was worried and upset. There were hushed arguments behind closed doors that would stop as soon as I walked by. Then, about a year ago, Dad dropped the bomb. He sat Mom and me down and announced he was leaving us for Isabel. He said he had fallen in love with her and that they were going to get married. Mom just sat there, silent and pale. I was in shock. I couldn't believe my dad would do this to us. The next few weeks were a blur. Dad moved out and Mom fell into a deep depression. She barely ate or left her room. I tried my best to take care of her, but I was struggling too. I was angry at Dad, worried about Mom, and scared about what would happen to us. About a month after Dad left, Mom decided to go stay with her parents for a while. She said she needed time to heal and figure things out. I understood, but I felt abandoned. Dad had already left, and now Mom was going too. She asked if I wanted to come with her, but I decided to stay at our house. It was my home, and I didn't want to leave my school and friends. That's when things got really complicated. Dad moved back into the house with Isabel, saying it would be better for me to have a family around. I hated the idea, but I didn't feel like I had much choice. Mom was gone, and I was still a minor. At first, Dad and Isabel tried to act like everything was normal. They'd ask about my day, try to engage me in conversation at dinner, but I wasn't having it. I kept to myself, spent most of my time in my room, and only came out when I had to. Isabel, or should I say my stepmom, started trying to play house. She tried to set rules, tell me to do chores, and even attempted to ground me once when I came home late. I just ignored her. She wasn't my mom, and I didn't owe her anything. As the weeks went by, Isabel got more and more controlling. She complained to Dad about my attitude, my grades, which had slipped because, surprise, surprise, I was dealing with a ton of emotional issues, even the way I dressed. Dad, who used to be my biggest defender, just went along with whatever she said. Things came to a head last week. I had a big art project due, and I've been working on it in the garage. Isabel decided that the garage needed to be cleaned out that very day. When I told her I needed the space for my project, she said my hobby wasn't as important as having a tidy house. I lost it. I yelled at her, telling her she had no right to make decisions about my life or this house. I might have also called her some names I'm not proud of. Dad came home in the middle of this, and instead of listening to my side, he immediately took Isabel's part. He started lecturing me about respect and how I needed to listen to my parents. That's when I really blew up. I told them they weren't my parents, that my real mom was the one they had driven away, and that I hated both of them. Isabel started crying, and Dad got really angry. He told me if I couldn't respect their rules, maybe I should go live with my mom. I said fine, I'd rather live in a cardboard box than stay with them. That's when Isabel said fine, pack your bags, you have until the end of the week to get out. I was stunned. They were actually kicking me out. I'm still in high school, for crying out loud. I locked myself in my room and called Mom, sobbing. That's when she dropped a bombshell on me. The house we're living in, it's not Dad's, it's Mom's. Apparently, it was a gift from my maternal grandparents when Mom and Dad got married. They had put it solely in Mom's name as a way to ensure she'd always have a home, no matter what happened. Mom had never told Dad this, always letting him believe the house was theirs. When they divorced, Mom didn't ask Dad to leave the house because she thought it was important for me to have my father around. She trusted that he'd continue to put me first, even with his new relationship. But now, hearing how they were treating me, she was furious. Mom told me not to worry, that she'd handle everything. She said she'd be home tomorrow and that Dad and Isabel were the ones who'd be leaving, not me. I'm sitting in my room right now, alternating between feeling scared, angry, and weirdly triumphant. I don't know what's going to happen when Mom gets here, but I know it's going to be intense. I'll update when I can. Am I wrong for feeling a bit excited about this? Part of me feels guilty for potentially making Dad and Isabel homeless, but another part feels like they deserve it after how they've treated me and Mom. I don't know what to think anymore. Wow, I didn't expect my post to blow up like this. Thank you all for your support and advice. A lot has happened in the last few days, so here's an update. Mom came home the day after I posted. She arrived early in the morning before Dad and Isabel were awake. We had a long talk where she apologized for leaving me alone to deal with everything. She explained that she had been in a really bad place mentally after the divorce and needed time to heal. She also said she regretted not telling me about the house situation earlier, but she had hoped it wouldn't come to this. When Dad and Isabel came downstairs, they were shocked to see Mom in the kitchen. Dad started to say something, but Mom cut him off. She calmly explained that this was her house and that she wanted them out by the end of the week. You should have seen their faces. Dad turned pale and Isabel's jaw practically hit the floor. Dad started sputtering about how this was his house too, that he had paid the mortgage for years. Mom just slid the deed across the table to him. His name wasn't on it. Isabel got angry. She started yelling about how they couldn't just be thrown out, that they had rights. Mom just looked at her and said, "You had no problem throwing my underage son out of his home. At least I'm giving you a week to find a new place." Dad tried to appeal to Mom's emotions, talking about our family history in the house, how it had been our home for so many years. Mom wasn't having it. She said it stopped being your home the day you chose her over your family. They argued for a while, with Dad threatening legal action and Isabel alternating between crying and yelling. Mom stood her ground. She had already talked to a lawyer and knew her rights. The house was solely in her name, and Dad had no claim to it. Eventually, Dad and Isabel retreated to their room. We could hear them arguing behind the closed door. Mom and I spent the day catching up and making plans. She's moving back in permanently, and we're going to redecorate the house to make it feel like ours again. The next few days were tense. Dad and Isabel mostly stayed in their room, only coming out to eat or use the bathroom. They tried a few more times to argue with Mom, but she remained firm. I overheard Dad on the phone with a lawyer who must have told him the same thing Mom did, because he seemed even more defeated afterward. On the third day, Isabel left. She took her stuff and went to stay with a friend. She didn't even say goodbye to me, and not that I cared. Dad seemed lost after she left. He tried to talk to me a few times, but I wasn't ready to forgive him yet. The day before they were supposed to leave, Dad asked to talk to Mom and me together. He apologized for everything he had done. He admitted that he had handled the divorce terribly and that he had been an awful father to me over the past year. He said he realized now how selfish he had been and how much he had hurt us. Mom listened quietly, then told him that while she appreciated his apology, it didn't change what had happened. She said she was willing to try to rebuild a relationship with him, but it would take time. I was a bit more skeptical. I told him I needed time to process everything and that I didn't think I could forgive him anytime soon. Dad and Isabel moved out the next day. The house feels so much better now, more like home. Mom and I have been working on making it feel cozy and comfortable again. We even started painting the walls and rearranging the furniture. It's a fresh start, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. I'm still dealing with a lot of emotions, and I'm not sure what my relationship with Dad will look like going forward, but I'm hopeful that with time, things will improve. Thank you again.